Little announcement. I don't know if you saw the whole thing on the new Symbiotica Synergy B12. I mean, talk about game changer on all levels. Literally, this product alone, I say that about all our products. Literally, this product alone, nothing like it on the market, nothing like it ever been created before. It's got everything you need in there. D3, K2, vitamin A, ubiquinol, best news of all time. And then this is coming PQQ, glutathione, CoQ10, mycelated with probiotics, with intelligence. Just unbelievable. So we're going to be doing the second part to our live on our first one, me and Paul. And I got some exciting things where, Symbiotica and Synergy Science are really starting to merge. We've been thinking about it. It's been a long time coming. And what that means for everybody is just more benefit, more of a deal, more access to things. And I'm really going to bring Synergy Science to Symbiotica. Synergy Science is probably the only company out there that I would ever even consider having around the Symbiotica brand. Mainly from the top bottom. When you talk to the owner of Synergy Science, when you talk to their entire team, when you talk to their technology, nothing like it can even compare. Let me see it. I think he just popped in. Paul. There he is. So as I was saying, the reputation, the reputability, the heart, all of it is just the best news ever. There he is. How are you, my friend?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing amazing, man. I can't complain besides that crazy earthquake that just shook the house. It was like World War II. That was intense.
Yeah, you were telling me that it felt like a mortar hit the house. That's crazy.
Yeah, usually an earthquake, so the one that happened the other day, I felt it
Yeah.
coming. I told Jamie, I was like, something's happening, and then 5 seconds later, right? This one
Wow.
out of nowhere, whiplash. It just like
Oh my God.
smacked the house. That's intense.
Wow.
And
Well, I tell you, I used to live in LA and it would always be like 2 in the morning when that kind of stuff would happen. It would freak you out, you know?
for sure, absolutely. And it really
Yeah.
speaks upon how our body works and
Yeah.
how sensitive we are to just about everything. How our
Yeah.
entire survival system is based on being alert on all levels. And have you read the book Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers?
No, but that sounds like an awesome book.
It's like the guy literally took it out of my brain. I wanted to write an entire preface, an entire, instruction manual on how cortisol works, on how stress hormones work, on how adrenaline works, on survival tactics, just the physiology that the bodies are designed with. And that
Yeah.
book basically, centers around a zebra is just enjoying its leisure time, and out of no wonder in a split second they got to be at 35 miles an hour running away from a lion, and then as soon as the lion is done, because 95% of the time they're unsuccessful, the zebra within 3-4 minutes, all of its physiology is back to homeostasis, heartbeat,
Wow.
all of that stuff. But humans, on the other hand, we're sitting in our houses in that flight
Yeah.
mode the entire time. And that's why stress, and that's why ulcers, and that's why all host of diseases come with that. And that can lead us directly into non-native electromagnetic frequencies, radiation, cell phone radiation, Wi-Fi, 5G. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I agree. Between cortisol and EMFs, you're really tapping your adrenal system. You're really tapping your system. Fight or flight is exactly as you said. The zebra is designed to get the heck out of there so it doesn't get eaten, right?
Yeah.
But if the zebra was constantly in fight or flight, it would be dead pretty quick because you just can't handle that stress level, period. So, and to your point, I love what you said because I think most people more than understand they're in a fight or flight all the time. And that's a testament to the creator. It's a testament to our body and how it was designed to handle this because we we shouldn't be handling this all the time, but it's a testament to all things beyond us because there was someone that figured this out before we did. That's for sure.
I love what you said, because it is to the creator. The creator has designed this avatar to perfection, and to be able to withstand so much stress on all levels. It's amazing what our bodies go through, what our minds go through. And it's also a clear indicator on why we want to reduce all forms of stress for the most part. Micro stresses are important because it's part of our survival. It makes us have fast decision making. Throwing inflammation where inflammation needs to go. People are sometimes a little bit confused on inflammation. Inflammation's not a bad thing. That's our survival. It's when it becomes runaway and the endocrine system and the central nervous system can't get you back to homeostasis in proper form. That's when you have runaway inflammation and chronic disease starts to set in.
Well, yeah, oxidative stress and inflammation, leading cause of disease. And people spend too much time focused on symptomology or pathology. And the reality is there's one source, and that's oxidative stress and inflammation. Now, there's 1,000 pathways to get there, whether it's relationships, whether it's money, whether it's made up stuff, whatever. I mean, it's all over the place.
Right.
Or literally, it's that you've destroyed your gut biome, and so you have no ability for an immune function or any antioxidant function in the body. But all pathways lead to oxidative stress and inflammation. And you're right, the body initially will try to protect itself, and it will do a very good job of it. But if we don't take away the source problem, then that fix that the body does becomes to our detriment.
I like what you said about symptomology and pathology. I think what we're talking about here really centers around epigenetics, wouldn't you say? Environmental factors, environmental stresses are what dictate the on and off switches of certain genes, right? And that whole mentality that we are basically a prisoner to our genomic sequence has been proved wrong. We know that about 1.5–2% of all diseases are actually out of our hands. 98–99% of them are completely dictated by the lives that we choose to live and the lives that are almost forced upon us.
I love that, because this is when I lecture that's what I say. And I reference when I used to lecture on diabetes, and I used to stand in the room with a huge auditorium of doctors, and I would say, what is the single cause for 80% of foot deformity? So I was talking about the foot at that time, because I'm a podorthist, and so that was my background, is preventing decubitus ulcers and amputations. And I would say, what do you think the leading cause of foot deformities are? And people raise their hands, see all kind of things. You know what the answer is? 80% of foot deformities are caused by the improper size shoe.
Right, yeah.
and who was the one that chose it? Mama put the shoe on your foot originally, right? And maybe you grew every 6 months, and so it got a little tight before she got you new ones. And so you believed in your mind a tighter shoe was better, or you just like that. And then I always ask the question, that's a lifestyle choice that literally your body said, fine, if you're going to cram my foot into this confined area, my bony structure will conform to that. I will allow my foot to fit in there, fine. It isn't until later that you have the ramifications. And I would ask the question, how many of us choose every day improper size shoes as an analogy, but how many of us choose things every single day that damage us, and our body says, fine, I will accommodate you, but you will pay the price later for forcing me to accommodate.
What a perfect, beautiful analogy. Everybody listening right now, I want you to get that, because it's kind of at the heart of everything that we, stand for in terms of Symbiotica, in terms of synergy science. It's, you have the decision to make, and that decision, you can shortcut certain things, but deep down inside, it's wrong. You know that you're putting yourself on the line, and at some point, it's going to come back around. And based on the amount of environmental stresses and the amount of toxins we're dealing with, that coming around later is coming quicker. It's coming like a freight train. And it's unfortunate, but when you look at the current situation of our water system, when you look at the current situation of the pharmaceutical system, when you look at the current situation of our food and agriculture system, the high levels of fear that's being programmed all over the place, we're getting bombarded And all of that's coming together like in one big, centrifuge and shooting at us in a direct lightning. That's kind of how I see it. And that's how I look at Wi-Fi technology and look at 5G radiation. They all have similar parallels. So it's coming on so fast, so strong right now that decisions that you're making today or decisions that you're making yesterday are affecting you right now. You can feel it. And your body's doing the best at the initial onset to warn you. But at some point, those warning systems turn off. The body turns them off just so you have sanity, because if that fibrotic tissue that's becoming calcified over the last 15 years is throbbing every day, you're not going to be able to function. Those nerve endings eventually stop signaling the brain, right?
Absolutely.
And the body that's been pleading to you, begging you, at some point stops telling you.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're like, oh, I'm better.
Right? That's well said. Oh, I'm good. That's fine. It went away. How many times have you heard that? Like so many people complaining about like a chronic neck pain or a chronic, sharp pain in the ribs or a chronic gut issue. But I'm better now. Well, it's just like, what is it supposed to do? Cascade into an explosion? No, it doesn't work that way. Dude, this is the best ever. Okay, so if you're joining me right now, I am talking with my brother Paul from Synergy Science. He is the founder. This is our follow-up live that we did, that we had an amazing, amazing ride on. That was incredible. That was last Thursday. And we really got into the technology, the background, why we're doing this. If you're on this, you listened to the first part. We'll do a little bit of a summary on what we discussed on the first part, but what we want to lead into is more of the technical aspect, more of the studies. Paul's going to go over some of the studies that are up right now on the site and really give you kind of a clear snapshot on how this technology works. So we know that right now that we're under, we're basically saturated with non-native electromagnetic frequencies. Those non-natives are coming from your cell phone device. It's coming from your Wi-Fi router. It's coming from 4G towers, 5G towers. It's coming from the electricity in your house. And I can go on and on. There's so many different areas where electric currents that are not natural to the symbiosis of our health, our inner environment, and our natural environment are plaguing us at a high clip. And I've been under this awareness, me and my cousin David Avocado Wolf, we've been talking about this. Dr. Patrick Flanagan, who's a mentor of mine, God rest his soul. We've been aware of this stuff for a long time, at least 10 years. It's been in my mind, in my heart. And now I've been searching for a solution that makes sense, a solution that I know I'm being protected, a solution that I know that my mother and my nephew, niece, and everyone in my family is being protected. And you told an amazing story about your wife. Why don't you give a quick recap on that, and then we'll get into the studies and the specific units that are available.
Sure. So my sweetheart, the absolute love of my life, 26 years of marriage to this amazing woman. Her name's Jacqueline, and she is my queen. And the first 10 years of our marriage, she had issues. She had gynecological, thyroid, anemia, you name it. She had the issue, which sent me, that was really my stimulus. That was my blessing from the Creator to stimulate me to go and do research, because I'll be completely transparent. I've never had a disease, an issue. I've never had a major surgery, sickness. I have never had those issues. I get a sickness about twice a year, and that's very healthy in my opinion for your immune function, but that's about it. And so I would never have really gone to research these things except for I wanted to help the love of my life, right? So in years past, we pretty much got her stabilized, and the last thing that I noticed about her, which I had no idea why, whenever she would go into department stores that would have fluorescent lights, she would last about 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, and then she was ready for a nap. She would looking for a place to lay down. That's all she could handle, fluorescent lights. Yep. And I thought, man, how can I help, right? What's going on with this? That's a whole nother thing, right? Yeah. So research, when we implemented key technologies, which releases electrons, which electrons will build us. We're an electrical system, right? And electrons absorbing in our system will increase our electrical voltage, our system, and also our mitochondrial function. From the time that she had that, now she can go and stores 2 hours. It doesn't bother her system because she's built up enough to where she has resources and capacity to handle that, right?
Correct.
Because that's what life, whether it's relationships or it's medical, it's all about capacity. And if you have excess capacity, you can handle some stressors. If you don't have excess capacity, then when a stressor comes, you're going to have a problem, whether it's adrenal or whatever. So my wife's adrenals were shot and other systems in her system were shot. And now it's a much better situation because we don't have those same issues. So yeah, it's real life for me and it affects my everyday life, right? This is my wife.
I mean, I can't imagine just the awareness now of knowing that she's protected from something that she couldn't control. You know, it's not like she made a choice to be eating, you know, pickled meat that's been rotting. And you know what I mean? Like some people have the authority to make that choice, whether they were programmed or not because of whatever, but it's an action. But this is, you know, this is an existential threat, meaning we don't have a choice here. And, you know, in summary, like if you really think about it, all of these smart homes, these smart businesses, these self-driving cars, all of these things, they virtually are all coming together right now. I mean, you can look at it from all the appliances. I've been reading about them, the refrigerators, washing machines, hair brushers, infant stuff, all are connecting to some kind of microchip Wi-Fi technology. We're being told this is a good thing, but it's not it's not a good thing if we value our physical, mental, moral, spiritual health. In other words, no matter how ultra convenient these ultra smart devices are, agreeing to be seduced by the promises of convenience is potentially not the smartest thing in my opinion.
I agree 100%. You know, you trade freedom for what we call convenience, and you trade a lot of things for it. I agree.
The media hype right now on this technology is incredibly outrageous. You know, I mentioned it on our first call. The media is pushing 5G and it's pushing so many companies, telling them that they got to compete with each other. I don't know if you've looked at the lower orbit satellites that they want to put up and crank the 5G down towards us from lower orbit. So I don't know if they're going to be using weather balloons to do that, but they really want to create a biofield, one big microwave soup. And what we know now is that the scientific literature is out. There are clear evidence of damage to DNA, damage to your cells, damage to your organs, increased rate of disease, which, like you just said beautifully, it's layering on more and more damage to an already sick person, or sick, you know, the health of the forest. And all of this 24/7 exposure, we have no idea the implications. We're just assuming based on the studies that have come out. And again, it's altering our heart rhythm, altering our gene expression, ADHD, autism, oxidative stress, neurological damage, cardiovascular disease. I can go on and on and on. And the fact that it's lumping all of those in there, how are we as a humanity going to be able to figure this out? Because we're just going to be throwing darts at what the issue is. We don't know. That's the issue. That's the main reason why I'm doing this. As the founder of Symbiotica, is that this is an existential threat. It's so full on, and the damage goes well beyond the human race, brother. I mean, you're aware of it. I mean, the displacement of plant, wildlife, animals, ants, birds, forests, frogs, flies, bees, insects. I can go on and on. Our ionosphere is going to be entering this, you know, complete electric, you know, simulation. That's full on. So we got to have a solution for right now. And that's what I believe strongly that I have found through discernment, that the key technology gives us a solution right now. Is it the end all be all? Of course not. But it's the solution we have right now to protect ourselves and our loved ones and perhaps everybody around us. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the technology. Okay.
Yeah.
What would you say is the best way for us to start the technology? Should we just talk about how the technology works and then get into some studies?
Yeah, we can also play that short video. If I don't know if it's easy for you to do that with your camera. The link I sent you earlier from our YouTube or what have you, it's just a 3-minute video.
I will post that video on
Okay.
my stories after. I don't have it queued up, and I have no Wi-Fi in my home, so my phone is logged into the Ethernet. So I've taken.
I can play it if you want.
Yeah, you play it.
We don't have.
Can you play it on your end?
Yeah, hold on. Let me go here real quick, because this kind of gives people a very, very powerful visual in like just a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Hold on. Here we go. And while I'm queuing this up, I'd like to honor you if that's all right. I tell you, everyone, you all love Shervine. I love Shervine, and you trust Shervine. More important than love is trust, right? Trust is earned, love is given, and we should give love and forgiveness to everybody. That should be the two things we do, period, as human beings living on this planet together. We should love each other and we should forgive each other. But the thing that we are never have to do is trust one another. That's based on behavior. That's based on decisions. I know you all trust Shervine, and I trust him too, but I want to honor him for a minute, because not all founders of companies will choose to promote another product that's not their own, because it takes risk. It's going into a place of risk. And so I just want to tell you, I love you, Shervine. I appreciate you as a brother, and I just honor you for doing that. So here we go. Let me
thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm all
awesome. Can you see that good?
Yeah.
All right, let's start it up.
Today, we live in an omnipresent cloud of charged particles emitted by electronic devices, electromagnetic fields, WLAN, and radio waves. These particles penetrate our bodies and heat the water in our body tissues. Recent scientific studies have shown that this particle flux not only heats the cells in our bodies as if we were in a microwave oven, but damages them as well. At Key Technologies, we want to protect you from the negative effects of such particles, so we have developed the Key Home Cell and other products. The Key Home Cell creates a protective field that works like a filter, intercepting any dangerous particles before they can enter your body. Here we have a partial look at the inner workings of the Key Home Cell. The Key Home Cell generates a charge exchange between the water tubes, thereby discharging free electrons and releasing them into the room. Within 24 hours, the Key Home Cell creates a torus field. The free electrons formed in the torus use their negative charge to bind to the positively charged harmful particles, thereby rendering them harmless to you. The torus field has an effective range of 16.4 feet above and below, and 24.6 feet around the device. The torus field created by the Key Home Cell is transmitted and provides you with protection through the walls of your home. Not only humans and animals are shielded from harmful radiation, but plants and food too. Whether mobile radio waves or WLAN, any particles that come within the torus field can no longer cause any harm to you or your family. The Key Home Cell provides you with all-around protection, allowing you to communicate with absolute peace of mind when using your cell phone or any other electronic devices. The Key Home Cell's free electrons are transmitted into the water through the torus field, and repairing the water structure that was destroyed by radiation particles. Water regains its ideal vibrating hexagonal grid structure. The difference is easy to taste and can be proven with laboratory testing. This type of perfect hexagonal water structure is found in fresh spring and healing water, and has also been seen in snowflakes. The same effect happens with our food, which also contains water. The Key Home Cell greatly reduces radiation exposure from cell phones, laptops, WLAN transmitters, mobile terminals, and other sources of radiation. The Key Home Cell drastically reduces the thermal stress on your body tissue. It is very and very easy. With the Key Home Cell, you will experience a new quality of well-being within your home and more life energy without any unhealthy exposure to radiation.
That was fantastic. Wow. Those things are, the engineering on that is just unbelievable craftsmanship, and it makes total sense. I mean, it's basically turning that whole thing into Mother Earth and the Schumann resonance, which is the breath of our mother. Yeah, it's break that down.
Yeah, one of my dear friends, Michael Terrell, who has whole tones, very, very close friend of mine. He has one now, and he's like, Paul, this is beautiful for Schumann. He's big into the Schumann resonance on the earth and saying that it's being changed right now. So it absolutely is an amazing design. There's no other product like it on the earth that accomplishes what it does. The things that it does, and I'll state what it does. Effectively, it makes all EMF fields biologically safe. That's what it does. For people that can feel Wi-Fi, they won't be able to tell when Wi-Fi is on or off anymore because it's not palpable for them. It's not perceivable to a person because we've removed the radiation in the field. We've removed the things that are stressing the body out. And so it's huge. Also, what people don't understand is these wind farms. If you've ever heard of wind farm, these big wind farms, right? There's actually, for several miles from every one of these turbines, every time the blade goes past the mast, it creates a sound of interruption for all living things for miles around it. There was a study done on some minks. There was a mink farm down from one of these major farms, what they call wind farm, and their morbidity rate on babies being born went up 3,000% the year after they put this wind farm. And it's just a sound disturbance that goes for miles. So, this is something that gets helped with key as well. But the things that we focus on the 12 studies that we have are now completely focused on making EMF fields biologically safe. So the three things that I'll talk about, or let's maybe even say 4 of the 12 studies. We don't have time to go into the 12 studies, but the thing that was impressive is one of them was on wound healing. One of the studies we did was on how well wounds will heal in the body with EMFs, without EMFs, and then with EMFs and the key technology. So the wounds in this study at Darsh Institute, Paul Darsh, which is in Europe, very, very well-known man, incredible. We're going to be releasing a video showing a 22-hour time-lapse video on that through the microscope, what the microscope saw in the actual skin healing. But the reality is, when there was no Wi-Fi and no radiation, no EMS present, the skin healed beautifully. When you introduced EMFs, it was almost not healing at all. And then when you put our technology, the key technology, into that same area, the skin healed at the same rate that it did without any EMFs. That was a beautiful study that we did that we're going to release a video showing the proof on video so people can see it. So that's one study. The second study was an institute called Bion Institute, which is, again, an amazing institute in Europe. What they did is they took an individual and they put them in a chair. Right behind them, 1 meter behind them was a Wi-Fi router, and 1 meter to their left was the key shield, which you have. And they wanted to use what's called the Friedman test. So the Friedman test is 7 points to be able to understand if the body is in fight or flight or a stress mode, and that's what they looked at. And so they did 3 groups of people for a half an hour. One group was with Wi-Fi and a sham device. In other words, it looked like the key shield, but there was nothing inside. And they didn't know any different. The people had no clue, right?
It was a blind study, everybody.
Yeah, exactly. It was a double-blind study, 3 groups. And there was an absolute group, a sham group, and then the real key shield. And the only time that the individuals were not in stress, based on the Friedman study and the 7 points on the body that they did, was when they had the real key shield. So this was one, and again, people can download these on synergyscience.com. They can download the studies. They go to the homepage, top right-hand corner, it says new key study. So it's really, really simple. I can show a picture of
while you're finding that, everybody, the evidence is out. Research shows, and this is 20 years of research, that electromagnetic fields affected the way calcium ions move in brain tissue and the way this affects the cells of the inner workings of our body, literally permeable blood-brain barrier stuff. this is why it causes such an affliction. Go ahead, play that.
Well, no, it's just a picture within
Okay.
the study of how the setup was. You can see the key shield next to them. You can see the Wi-Fi router behind them. And so that's what this study was showing, was that, and so here I'll read this to you, which is great. Here's what the result. In fact, this is what I'm going to be reading right here, where it says results, right? So it says statistical analysis of the measured physiological parameters demonstrated significant differences between the Virum, sham, and absolute control group in all 7 parameters: muscle activity, heart rate, skin conductance, respiration rate, finger temperature, heart rate variability, and thorax expansion rate, which is, again, the Friedman test. The strongest influence of the test produced was demonstrated on skin conductance, heart rate variability, and thorax expansion rate depth, as there were statistically significant differences during both halves of the measurement. So this is just showing us that the body is not in stress. And these are the kind of things that we're doing. Again, the next study we'll go quickly is with Darch Institute. Again, that's the study, and you can download it. What this was showing with the Darch Institute was the fact that, and you can see here, it was all about the beneficial effects of what? The fact that electrons got into the water. So they were showing the fact that, A, this company says that they're producing electrons. This study shows, hey, it actually happened. We saw that there was a negative 100 millivolts in the water after it was in the field. So they put a pitcher of water and a key home, and they wanted to see what would change in the electrical potential of the water itself, because that's going to prove if you have electrons in your environment is if the water changes in millivolts. Go ahead, you had a question.
Let me identify what you're showing here. Some people might be lost. You're showing that there's different actions to this, and there's different provable end results, as opposed to just looking at human physiology or looking at specific energy waves. But you're showing right now its effect on water, right?
Right.
So, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. That's incredible.
Yeah, and understand that when we talk about a negative millivolt, you can test that with an ORP meter. So if someone was to get one of our key homes and put it in a home and put a pitcher of water on the counter, and they could go and test it and see the difference, because a lot of people say, how do I know it's working, right? So the bottom line is, when you have a negative reading on an ORP meter, ORP means oxidation reduction potential. This is the ability of water to reduce oxidation in the body. And so this negative 100 millivolts means that this water is antioxidant now in the body. So not only are we protecting you from EMFs, but if you have this in your home and you have water you're drinking, it will influence that water to become antioxidant when you're drinking it. And so that's I think, pretty beautiful myself.
That is incredible. I mean, water is life, and what's happening, I mean, conversely, what is the 5G or the 60 gigahertz Wi-Fi, what is that actually doing to, water molecules? What is that doing to oxygen molecules in our body? I mean, oxygen molecules have electrons that they share with each other. Oxygen's a diatomic molecule. What we breathe are 2 oxygen molecules bonded together with the electrons that they share. When the oxygen molecules hit with 60 gigahertz or a 5G wave, these waves affect the orbital resonance properties of those shared electrons. So we have to understand what that happens in our body. It's those shared electrons that bind to the hemoglobin in our blood. In addition to disrupting oxygen absorption, 5G will alter the iron and the magnetite function, all of the things that are respective of our brain, of our hemoglobin, of our pineal gland. All of these things are in complete relation with each other. I mean, it literally impairs the body to produce vitamin D, melanin. I can go on and on and on. I just want to tie this into our health and physiology so people can understand the implications of this and why these tests are showing that it's basically dispersing that bandwidth to cause those problems in the human body.
Oh, absolutely. So here is the tap water. This graph is the tap water. The other graph is once key technology was in the house. You can see a significant difference of water and what happened with key water versus tap water untreated. So again, you can download these. We don't keep them from you. We want you to see them. We want you to read for yourself. But the reality is, this is not hocus pocus. There is proof, as you said, in the pudding, which is the most important. But we have studies showing, and I've talked a lot about the other thing that I think is one of the most important is the fact that we tested 850 megahertz, 1800, and 1900 for cellular protection. And just, we did this for the Key Home and the Key Shield, but this is the final one where it shows the room in which they tested the Key Shield, and they basically isolated the Key Shield in a room, and they had a cellular signal produced in that room to see what would happen for the attenuation, what's called attenuation of those fields. So anyways, those are some good studies. I think that's some proof in the pudding. And the fact is the technology works, and we just ask people to utilize it to have protection in their life. And that's all. We're not not trying to do anything but serve.
Thank you for really explaining that and for having actual peer-reviewed studies like that. That's really, what brought me in and hooked me in. There's a lot of stuff out there. A lot of people are wasting a lot of time, a lot of money, and not getting to the solution. And in fact, propagating the problem even more by spreading false information out there. The concept of this technology, if you know anything about grounding, if you know anything about the Schumann resonance, you'd understand how it works. It's not complicated. You're just basically mimicking nature. And the Schumann resonance, we all kind of know it to be the breath of our Earth. It's basically, to make it simple, it's the geomagnetic electrical resonance between the surface of the Earth and the lower levels of our ionosphere. I think that's the best way that I can put that, which has a very natural ultra low frequency and extreme low frequency signal that we're all accustomed to and we all need to survive. Our plants need to survive. Our bodies need to survive. And what we're discovering is that that resonance signal is correlative with sunspot numbers and has a real physical mechanism located in the D layer of the ionosphere. I've done like 10 posts on this, Paul, specifically talking about how these layers of electronic density work on the layers. And the Schumann resonance right now there's potentially an issue right now that it can be completely disrupted by all of these, non-natives and 5G satellites and, transponders and all these things. And we don't know what is to come from that. And the fact that our entire system, our melatonin production, is completely activated by that natural technology of the Schumann resonance. And if our melatonin starts lacking, which it is, because that's why I'm wearing these glasses, that's why I sunbathe early on the day and get grounded to the earth. I mean, that's a whole myriad of issues that come across. So there's so many different pathways that this is causing healing. You said it so eloquently in the beginning that it's not one thing. No, it's thousands and thousands of different things that ultimately affect the center point of your body's homeostasis, which is a non-disease health span.
That's right.
Okay. Yep. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so here's the next step. The link for the key technology is on the site. Let's decide, what do they want? Do they want this one or do they want the home one? I mean, what are we doing here?
So here's the deal. The Key Shield is awesome for travel, for if you have a really small residence or you want it for your car, you're on a plane, airplane, what have you. There is differences between these. The Key Shield will cover 225 square feet. The Key Home Cell will do 2,500. So you're talking 10 times the square feet. But we also need to understand that the Key Shield is a smaller device. And so, for instance, on cellular signal, it will reduce the signal strength by 25%, whereas the Key Home will reduce it by 70%. So there is a difference. But from a protection perspective, you're completely protected from EMFs, from the radiation in the shield, the home, or the max. They're going to protect you. I'm just simply saying that the ability of the device to reduce the signal strength of cellular per se is 25% with the key shield, where it's 70% with the key home or the key max. And I'm going to just do something crazy and move my camera over. You can see right there, that's the key max.
Look at that guy right there.
Yeah, gorgeous, isn't it?
It's, I mean, the craftsmanship on these are incredible. So once you receive this box, you know that this is some serious equipment. This isn't a joke. And he just showed you on a video what it looks like inside of these. This isn't, you know, this isn't some standard piece of metal that's wrapped in copper. No. This is a specific geometry, a specific technology, and a specific water. And it looks like a lot of research and a lot of time was put into this. And I get what you're saying. I mean, there's only so much energy something can generate on this material size, right? It's only it just there's a certain cutoff, right?
Imagine that one's 3 inches. The one that I just showed you is 24 inches.
Okay, so yeah, 8 times in the size.
Yeah,
And
so
and it amplifies even more so to the power, right? Okay.
That one can do up to 2.1 million square feet, whereas the Key Shield's 225. So yeah, and then you know we have the little Key Me, which is great, but it's yet lower. It's only 3 feet and it's one person, right? So you know that's what we want to understand is there are differences between them, but if budget constraints are there, get the Key Shield. If budget constraints are not there, get the home or the max, you know, whatever you need for your environment. But I'm going to tell you, there is a difference, and you will feel a difference between a shield and a home if you're talking about an entire home. There is a difference. But for travel, and this is what I would want to say, you know, here's how it comes in the box. And then what's nice about the shield is the fact that it comes with a carry case. So you can put it in there and take it in a backpack, which I do whenever I fly or go to a hotel or what have you. You know, I've got it right there in the bag. And so it doesn't get messed up. You take it everywhere you go. You know, when you go through security, just take it out. And this is what I do.
Yeah, that's my next question. That was my next question. You know, what do you say when you go through security?
Yeah, I say, hey, and I take it out and I just go like this. Hey, this is to protect me against Wi-Fi and cellular radiation. I'm just going to put it here in the bowl. And they're like, okay, sounds good. Whoop, right on through it comes. They don't even check it because you've shown them. Now, if you leave it in your backpack and they see it, well, they're going to want to check it out. What is that, right? And then they'll want to buy one. I can't tell you how many screeners have bought them. But the point is, I show it to them, and it's amazing in human behavior. If you show it to them, it's like telling your parents you were bad. They're like, oh, really? Okay, no worries. Yeah. But if you don't show the screener, well, then they don't know what the heck this is. And they're like, what is that, you know?
Yeah, it becomes a problem.
I've never had a problem worldwide. And I've gone through a lot of airports, obviously, but in a lot of countries.
So if you're listening right now, this is obviously what you want to get if you're traveling. That's just my opinion. This is very easy to handle. It's got good weight on it, but it's nice. It feels real. I'm going to have a Max in my home any day now, and I'm going to do a whole test on the Max. I'm going to meditate on it. I'm going to stream it live. I've already announced it to our entire ambassador group, all of the Symbiotica family. I have everybody on Facebook. I have all of David Wolf's people. They're all going to tune in on this. And I'm going to do a deep, deep dive meditation with the Max and see exactly how my body tunes into that force. Because I've been all over the world. I've been in the most beautiful places. I've been in, Havasupai, Peru. When you're grounded in those areas, there's a vibration. And if your body's tuned into it, you're going to feel it. And that's the whole thing with this. This is basically taking Mother Earth with you wherever you go and amplifying her signal like your own Schumann resonance. This is the best news of all time.
Yeah, and I tell you, people feel a huge, huge difference from sleep. to just, and they say an overall peace in the environment, a peace in their area. So when people get our key home and it covers the entire place, you just walk around in a place of peace, and you have ions, you have negative ions, you have electrons that are grounding you, that are building your body up, that help you to function the way you were created to function. And I'll tell you, from a spiritual perspective, I've had so many people say, holy cow, I feel so much more clear now than I did before. It just is a difference I can feel. And that's exciting. You know, I think that's important. I think we're spiritual beings. I think that we should be able to connect to truth. We should be able to connect to infinite wisdom and universal love. And this allows us to really express in that way. In my opinion, it's a big difference. So you can think of it as EMF protection. You can think of it as helping your third eye so it'll function better when you're EMFs. You can think of a lot of things, the ability to love your fellow man, and who might just be different. So
like, hallelujah, you know, so that, I mean, so that's a really fascinating perspective to have on what this technology can bring. So not only are we saying that, you know, this could be protecting us from a whole, you know, list of chronic diseases and illnesses that we're not even aware of. I mean, across the whole gambit. But at the same time, it's bringing us into a level of balance and awareness and allowing us to center in ourselves, even if we're on the 40th floor in Manhattan, right? Or we live in the urban city in Las Vegas, or we live in Hollywood, or we live in, you know, Frankfurt, wherever we are, Sao Paulo, ultra metropolitan cities. You can literally basically have a technology that's trusted, well-designed, and basically creates a beautiful, beautiful connection to our mother. I love that, brother. I love that. So everybody stay tuned. We have a lot of exciting news that we're going to share. You know, Paul, I'm sure that you've been in this industry for a long time. This has been pretty much your life's journey. Yep. This is your life's work. You know, we share so many mutual friends, from The Truth About Cancer, Ty Bollinger, all of those people. Obviously my cousin David Wolf and all that stuff. We're just a bunch of crazy crusaders. You know, that's just how I look at it. We're not suit and tie. We're not behind the desk. You know, we're basically, we're out in the field. We're masters, but every day we're students. And when you learned about this, you had to take a second look. And it took you a while to use your God-given discernment and your ability to make a decision. And once you made that decision, then all of a sudden momentum started to happen. And it's the same thing with how I feel. It's how I designed Symbiotica. It's how our team operates, is that we don't rush to judgment and we're not chasing the wheel. This isn't a race to the bottom. This is a race to the top, to provide you nothing but the truth and the technology that's backed by real science, not fake agenda-based scientism, religion nonsense. We're talking about real practical tests and using the scientific method. And I'm really excited about the synergy between Symbiotica, our entire team, our entire, you know, network, and with the synergy team. It's like almost like synergized. You know what I mean? Like it's an exciting time, and we're going to be working on some exciting things together. We have a lot to talk about in terms of water technology. I know everybody's asking me about Kangen water machines and what's the best water to drink. Everybody knows I'm an avid spring hunter, and I make my own water here. We have our own vortex system, and my whole thing with salts and alchemical minerals and angstrom-sized minerals and all that stuff. So for me, this is just the beginning of a beautiful, beautiful relationship between both of our leading industry organizations that are here to make change. And everything with Symbiotica, and I believe the same thing with Synergy, is we're not here to sell you products. We're here to just show you what's available to you. It's up to you to use your God-given discernment to make the next decision. There's no fear, there's no tactics, there's no forcing. I've never in my entire life endorsed anything unless I was making it myself. This is the first time in the history of Shervin carnated into this body that I've actually endorsed something, and I've actually thought about bringing it in some type of relationship. And so this is just getting started. This is just a micro sample size of what's to come. We're going to be, I see some really big things going on. I talked to some of our big players in Europe. I talked to some of our people in South America. Everybody's getting hyped up. Big group in Australia is getting hyped up. I'm going to be interviewed by 6 large network TV channels over the next 2 months. We're talking about Fox News. We're talking about CBS, NBC. My PR firm is setting that all up. We've already agreed in principle to some of these things. This is some of the information that's going to be discussed on those interviews. And when I go on Joe Rogan, I'm going to unload all of this information, because all of this is all related. Our nutrition, our awareness, there's no one thing out from another. So, Paul, thank you for listening to my rant. I really appreciate it. I love you, brother. Dude, the best ever. Dude, what a life, what a journey, what a ride, and it's just beginning. If you want to get the link, it's on my Instagram bio, and just stay tuned over the next couple of days. We're going to be doing another live. We're going to go deeper and deeper and deeper, so you just hang on tight. It's an exciting time to be alive. We got this. This whole COVID virus nonsense, get out of here. We got the solutions on so many things. It's all practical information. So much love, brother.
Hey, you too. Love you, brother.
Okay, be well. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, bye-bye.